In this video we're going to do the interlude section, which is the real pretty clean part. Again, we're going to talk about how brilliant Randy was and how clever he was with some of the little variations that he uses. The next 38 measures, we're going to go through it measure at a time. That way you can follow along and know exactly where you are in these parts. Be patient. This is tricky, but it's really simple once you get the hang of it. Okay, we're going to do the first three measures, which is going to be an E minor add 2 chord. It's going to start with your low E string, which is your E, the 9th fret on your D string, which is going to be B, your 8th fret on your B string, which is going to give you G, and then over here with your pinky you're going to have the 11th fret on the G string, which is going to be your F sharp. Now here's the picking pattern. It's the low E, D string, the B string, and the G string back and forth. You're going to reach up to the high E all by itself and back to your 8th fret on the B string. So here it is again, nice and slow. And that's going to be the first three measures. The next measure, very, very simple. You're going to take your ring finger and place it on the C note, which is going to be the 10th fret of the D string. And the picking pattern for this is going to be D, G, B, and back to the G, back to the B, back to the G, high E, and then B. Same picking pattern. And this is a C add sharp 4 chord. Here it is again slow. Now the next chord is going to be an E minor 7 chord. It's going to start on the D string, 9th fret. It's going to be on the G string, 7th fret. It's going to be on the B string, 8th fret. Here's the picking pattern. Again, nice and slow. And you have B, D, G, back to your D, G, D, E, G. And here it is again slow. The next chord is going to be an E suspended 2 chord. Now the proper way to play this would be with two fingers here using your ring finger and your pinky, both on the 9th fret, and your first finger on the B string 7th fret, which is going to give you F sharp, E, and B. It's a nice picking pattern too. This one's going to start on the B string, G string, D string, and back. You're going to reach all the way up to your high E and play the E, B, G, and B. Here it is again slow. Now we're going to move on to the next 4 measures, which is going to be a nice little change here. You're going to move all the way up to the 8th fret with your first finger on the B string, the 9th fret on the D string, 11th fret on the G string, and you're going to have this picking pattern. Here it is again slow. And this is back to your E minor add 2 chord. So one more time slow. You're going to move into the C add sharp 4 chord again. One more time slow. Back to the E minor 7 chord. One more time slow. And the E suspended 2 chord. One more time slow. Now this is the proper way to hold this chord, which immediately I throw out the window. For me it was a little more comfortable just to use 2 fingers, so instead of these 2 fingers I'm going to use my middle finger for the 9, and you have this. Now you can choose to do it whichever way is more comfortable for you. One more time slow with the 2 fingers. Now it's going to go back into the E minor add 2 chord, and this is where Ozzy starts singing. So the next 4 measures, This is kind of an important part to pay attention to, because what happens is Randy has a small, slight variation in the end of this, and it's important that you remember it because the fill is going to go over top of it in different places. So the very next chord, back to your E minor add 2 chord, which was this shape, we're going to do this picking pattern. We're going to be the B string, D string, G, B, E, B, G, B. Here's what it looks like. So that's going to be for your E minor add 2 chord. Here it is again. Now the reason I was saying earlier for the last measure why I use these two fingers is because it was very comfortable for me to get into this E minor chord. So here it is slow with the E suspended 2 chord and then the E minor add 2 chord. That made that little transition really easy for me. Find which one works for you. Here it is again, nice and slow. Now we're moving on to measure 12, if you're counting along with the actual measures that we're working on. So measure 12 is going to move up to the 10th fret, which you have your first finger here, so you're going to slide up to 10. You're going to have 12, 11, 10, which is going to give you D on the 12th fret, F sharp on the 11th fret of the G string, A, which is the 10th fret on the B string, and then of course your high E open. Here's your pattern. Now this measure coming up again in 2 bars has a variation to it, which is why these 4 measures are so important. So here it is with the E minor add 2, and then we're going to go into the D add 2 chord, which is the one we just did for measure 12. Again, nice pretty change that Randy put here. We're going to go back to the E minor add 2. And then we're going to go into the D add 2 again, here. Now when you get to this, when you get to the G string, it's going to be the 12th fret, then the 11th fret. That's the slight variation that I was talking about 2 measures down. It's just one note. So here's what it is, all 4 measures, measures 11, 12, 13, and 14, which is going to be the E minor add 2, D add 2, back to the E minor add 2, and then the D add 2 again with the variation. So here's what you have. And it's going to go into the next part, which we'll get to in a second. Over that last variation right there, I'm going to throw this in here for you too. This is the small fill that Randy does. So it's going to be the B and the G string, 12th fret, together, like this, if you choose. Then it's going to be the 11th fret on the G string and the 10th fret on the B string. Then you're going to go to the 9th fret on the G string and the 8th fret on the B string. 1 fret down from that, which is going to be 8 on the G string, and your 7 on the B string. Back up to the 9 and 8. Here's the fill. It's that little one that's overdubbed, and you're going to start to hear it. And once we're done with the rest of these measures, I'll point out the actual measure number where this little fill is actually over top of. Now we're moving on to measure 15. Measures 15 through 26 are actually going to be the same as measure 13 and 14. You're just going to repeat that whole part 6 more times. This is where Ozzy's vocals are still going on. So here's what the actual part that you're going to repeat is. So you're back to your E minor add 2. So you're going to repeat that 6 more times. And that's where the vocal part ends for that. Next, we're going to move into the part right after Ozzy ends his vocals where he says, or trying to enter me. The next part coming up is going to be the E minor add 2 and the D add 2 played consistently, and that's going to be another 4 times. And you have that rhythm pattern already. So you get to that, you can count it that way with the G and the F sharp. And you get that 4 more times. Now, again, here's where Randy, I think, is brilliant when he has these slight variations. Technically, you could have finished that pattern throughout the rest of this part before it comes up to the distorted part after this. What he does do is he does the E minor add 2 chord again, and then he goes into the D add 2 chord, but he adds a variation yet again on this D add 2. So we're going to do the E add 2 chord. And here's where the variation is. Instead of the G to the F sharp, he's going to do the A, B, A. So here it is again slow, so you can see what it is. And that's where that'll actually end. So that little variation with the kind of signals that there's a change coming, and then you have 2 measures before you're into the next, which we'll get into next. So that was the interlude section to Diary of a Madman. I hope that I'm explaining myself and giving you enough detail that it's actually helping you. I hope I'm making myself clear with what I'm trying to show you. The tabs are on the screen there. If you have any questions, please comment me below. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.